walking helps, talking to family and friends, or even a therapist or a counselor, those things are great. But I believe for me personally, doing those things are great, but prayer really helps me like know I've placed it at the feet of God. And,
Said I know you want.
What's going on, my dear soul family? It's Dallas here. Thank you for tapping back into the channel. Welcome to another midweek. This is part 2 of the topic of emotions. This time I'm going to share on the things that I do when I find myself emotional, whether my emotions are high from like some big wins on the job, or like some successes in the gym, or things are just going good in my life and my friends' life and my family's life. So when those emotions are high, or when I'm just down, for whatever reason, maybe one of my friends are going through something, I'm going through something, my family, or things are challenging on the job, I'm going to just talk about the things that I do when I find myself emotional. So let's jump right into it. The first thing that I do when I realize that I'm emotional is I strive to eat something healthy. Maybe it's a salad, maybe it's just whatever I've meal prepped that week, but I strive to eat something healthy. And the reason I do this is because I've learned that the foods we eat actually communicate something to our bodies. And there's been times to where I've been emotional and I've ate things that were bad and I felt worse. But there's been, like, for the majority of the times when I eat something healthy, I feel like I've persevered and pushed through the intensity of my emotions to do something good, which is to make a healthy choice in my eating. So that's one of the first things I do. I choose to eat something healthy. Secondly, another thing I do is I go for walks, whether it's a walk or a run or even a workout. But most of the time, my walks are like more for like clarity and therapeutic, to kind of clear my mind. So typically I go for a walk, but anything active really helps me. And I started doing these walks during COVID because I was working from home, and I felt like my mind would just be so cluttered, just being in the house, online, dealing with customers, virtual meetings with the team. It was just a lot. So I started doing these walks, and I realized it really kind of started helping me when I would get depressed. So I would just kind of get up and go for a walk. So when my emotions are really heavy, I also go for a walk. Another thing I do, I say thirdly, I'll reach out to someone and talk about what I'm feeling. Like, hey, am I tripping? This is what I'm feeling. So I'll have conversation with some close friends or family, because sometimes hearing myself talk helps me understand what I'm feeling and if I'm tripping. And then also sharing sometimes allow my friends and my family to give me insight to what's going on, to kind of either help get the ball rolling to get to a solution, or just kind of help, uh, uh, just kind of relieve me a little bit of whatever the pressure or burden I'm feeling. Lastly, which I would say has been the most beneficial in comparison to all other things, is prayer. It's not something super spiritual. The prayers vary from Lord help me, 3 words, Lord help me, 3 words, to sometimes praying for 45 minutes, just talking to the Lord in prayers. But it helps me. It's something, sometimes I'll feel like super emotional at the beginning of the day, and what it really does, it kind of like helps like get my mind ready for a productive day, and it helps me like push back against what I'm feeling, because though I'm feeling this and it's real, it could also like hinder my productivity. So I pray, and I really do believe that ultimately eating good helps, walking helps, talking to family and friends, or even a therapist or a counselor, those things are great. But I believe for me personally, doing those things are great, but prayer really helps me, like, know I've placed it at the feet of God, who I have a relationship with as Father. I've placed it at his feet, and I know he can actually help me. It's not that the others that God don't sometimes use, healthy eating to help clear things up, exercise, and, family and friends to give wisdom and to share insight. All those things are great. But there are other times, I'm telling you, that like just praying to God, even if the problem isn't solved, just leaving it at his feet, I feel like a peace. It's in Philippians that it talks about, about not being anxious or worried about anything, but in all things through prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let our requests be made known to God. But it's the next verse after that that really like helps me. And it says, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will keep our hearts and mind." And that is the part that is a direct result of prayer and leaving it at God's feet. So even when the emotions are just heavy, I have peace that surpasses all of my understanding, that surpasses the reality of what I'm feeling and what I'm dealing with. And that's what, gives me hope that everything is going to be fine. And so I should set out that, and I to say this: there's hope for you as well when you're dealing with your emotions, the good, bad, and indifferent. There's hope for you too. I hope I've shared something in this short video today that speaks to your heart, or if something that you can share with someone else. And as I always say, no matter what you've experienced in the past, what's going on right now, and what you may face in the future, always remember, there's hope.
You better find that rock, stand on it, be strong.